With all the race baiting and other bullshit conspiracy theories surrounding the Flint water crisis, allow me to set the record straight about what exactly conspired to bring this crisis about. Shortly after declaring bankruptcy, the city of Flint experienced a state takeover. Governor Snyder appointed state overseers to take the reins from the mayor, automatically stripping the mayor of all authority and power to make decisions. In an attempt to make spending cuts, it was decided that Flint would discontinue using water piped in from Detroit. The city's contract was about to expire, and a project to link the city's water supply directly to Lake Huron had a long way to go. It was decided by state overseers to find an alternate water source until a permanent solution could be found. Not being from the Flint area, or being familiar with the reputation of the Flint River, the overseers decided to use the river to serve as a temporary water supply for the city. The water wasn't properly treated to remove toxins, and the required anti-corrosive chemicals were not used. Over time, the outdated lead pipe started to leach hazardous amounts of lead directly into the water supply. Flint residents began to notice that their drinking water had become discolored, started smelling funny, and even tasted funny. It didn't take long for people to start coming down with illnesses that couldn't be explained because of the water they were drinking. Government officials tried to convince the public that nothing was wrong with piss-colored water coming out of their faucets, and that it was perfectly safe to use and drink. But this would be proven false a short time later when EPA officials, as well as independent sources, started testing the water, and basically there was toxic levels of lead that were detected in the water. But it must be pointed out that this didn't happen overnight. Government officials continued to deny that there was a problem. It was only when evidence to the contrary became overwhelming that they had to admit that something was wrong. But it didn't happen right away. Officials continued to deny that there was a problem, and basically, the evidence had to become overwhelming before they even began to admit that there was a problem. I mean, I don't argue with people that say that there was a cover-up. I mean, that's obvious. But was it done deliberately just to kill people based on their race? I doubt it. But that hasn't stopped Michael Moore from writing an editorial for Time magazine and going on TV claiming that this was a hate crime and that this was all aimed towards African Americans, as if lead poisoning only affects African Americans, and that lead is somehow racist and can tell what color you are before it kills you. It's pretty obvious to anybody who looks at the situation that basically we have bureaucratic fuck-ups and denial until they can't deny it anymore, and then a cover-up. Not covering up a conspiracy to kill off black people, necessarily, which I don't believe they did, but a conspiracy to more or less cover their own asses after basically having to admit that they fucked up, that there was a problem, and that, as I explained before, the whole chain of events stemmed from ill-informed decisions made by officials who didn't know the area, who didn't use the right chemicals, who once figured out they fucked up, tried to cover it up. But there's no race conspiracy here, and Michael Moore fucking knows it. His ass is even from Flint. He's from Davison. He only claims Flint so he can make movies about it and exploit the suffering of the people there. So fuck him. There was no fucking race conspiracy. It was all bureaucratic bullshit and fuck-ups, and a limp-dicked attempt to try to cover up their own incompetence. There was no conspiracy. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the city of Flint that are gullible. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people in Flint that want to jump on the victimhood bandwagon and basically subscribe to this idea that it was a conspiracy to wipe out black people and all this bullshit and wipe out poor people with no evidence at all. Just their own need to feel like victims and to think that the system's after them and trying to kill them off. Because that's basically where the SJW bullshit comes from today. It's professional victimhood shit. And Michael Moore is exploiting that, as well as the people of Flint, just to get his fat ass on TV and to get his editorials published and shit. So anybody with a brain can see that this was just bureaucratic incompetence, denial, and all that shit I said before. Well, thanks for watching this video.